also finished his tea, and, and so we can start the program.
And other people are joining us, so let them join us
us.
as time progresses. They are
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Shumantro Goa, convener of this study circle, welcome you all to this VCM. This is the first VCM of this month on the 15th of October. The last VCM was held in September, on September 24th. And of course, we started late, but since the month of August 2020, we have started having these virtual meetings. And if my memory serves me right, this is the fourth VCM that we are having of the Accountants Library Chartered Accountant Study Circle, EIRC. With us, we have a very famous personality, I would say, who is going to deliberate. He is the Vice Chairman of the Direct Tax Committee of ICI, CA Pramod Jain. He is going to discuss on, obviously, the commonly found errors in tax audit and the much discussed new TCS provisions that have come from 1st October 2020. And also, we have requested him to touch on TDS on e-commerce operators. Now, he has to manage the time and handle all these issues, along with, I'm sure there will be a number of questions on these topics, all within 2 hours, but it is stretchable, of course. I mean, it is not that we have to complete by 7 o'clock. We can stretch up to 7:30 also. That would not be an issue at all. But we will try to stick to the time as far as possible, because we have also started 15 minutes late. In fact, Devashish Mitra has been sworn in as the president of the Accountants Library on the 25th of September. And under his presidency, this is also the first VCM that the study circle is holding. So, and there are a lot of issues also. Devan raised 2 issues. There are other issues also in the minds of the practitioners as to whether this tax audit date will be extended, and if extended, till how many days it will be extended. Now, since the examinations also have been deferred by 20 days, we will not be able to get the services of our article clerks in the month of November till the first week of December. So there are a lot of issues. Obviously, extension issue is a big issue, which is in the minds of everyone. And we can also listen from the horse's mouth, as Pramod ji is the Vice Chairman of the Direct Tax Committee. So he's in the know of things as to what is the mood of the Ministry of Finance, of course, and until what date they intend to extend the due dates. But all said and done, let us now start having a meaningful discussion. I request Devashish to take over and give his introductory speech before Pramod ji takes over and takes us through to the 3 topics that has been assigned to him. Thank you very much. Now it's over to Devashish.
Shumantro, thank you for your initial comments. Good evening.
Mitra sir, एक सेकंड, 3 कौन से थे? एक TCS, दूसरा tax audit, and third
TDS on e-commerce operators.
अच्छा, that also.
हाँ, TDS on e-commerce operators भी है.
Sorry.
कोई बात नहीं है. अगर आपका उसमें जिस 2 टॉपिक में you are comfortable, हाँ. अब मैं जानता हूँ आपका लिए सब टॉपिक ही comfortable है.
नहीं, मेरे को सिर्फ PPT चेंज करनी है और कुछ नहीं.
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. Take your time. The first one is the most important. You concentrate on that, Pramod ji. The first one is the most important. So, as I said, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this first, during this year, this meeting of the first virtual meeting of the Accountants Library. And Shumantro and the deputy convener Manish have been working hard to see that this is a success. We also have amidst us many of the managing committee members. I acknowledge the presence of Sanjay Bhattacharjee, the immediate past president, Animesh, Sumon, then Devan Patro, and so many seniors who are here. Past president Anindra Chatterjee, and so many seniors who are here. Before we start speaking, let me just speak a few words about Pramod Jain, who is the speaker for this evening. He is in the first term in the council, my council colleague. And and this I have stated in other seminars also. When I saw him for the first time in the council, the first thing that struck me was this: at that time I was the chairman of CLCTC. That's the first year I had come. He had come. And then you see corporate laws, I found that Pramod Jain, you see, would always speak on corporate laws and he would always comment on corporate laws. So my understanding was this, that Pramod Ji is actually a man from corporate laws. Then I became the, the deputy, the co-chairman of Audit and Assurance Standards Board. And I found that Pramod Ji would also speak on that. And he would speak on with great deal of authority. But later on, when I saw the committee allocations, I found that his committees were basically in the direct tax front. So you have a person, council member Pramod Jain, who is adept at corporate laws, on audit and assurance standards, but who also who is an expert on direct tax. He is the vice chairman of the direct tax committee of the institute. And if you have seen when Debayan Patra was asking him the questions, he was not allowing Debayan to state his questions at length. He was just picking up the points and said, all right, ho jayega. Because you see, his USP is, Pramod Jain's USP is, he speaks across the country in various seminars. I think he's one of the most prolific speakers that I have seen. In the Accountants Library Forum, he's coming and speaking for the first time. So, Pramod Ji, a hearty welcome to you. And so many of us we are looking forward to hearing you speak. And regarding the topic, tax audit, it's the tax audit season. So, you see, and there are so many issues on tax audit. And I think there is nobody better than Pramod Jain who can tackle this topic. TCS is also a very important topic, and I'm sure Pramod Jain will do full justice to that topic. To all the delegates who are attending this, I wish all of you a very interesting and enlightening session. With these words, may I request Central Council member and the Deputy Chairman of Direct Tax Committee, Pramod Jain, to kindly start his deliberation. Please. Pramod Ji, please. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Dada. My senior colleague in the council and a very dear friend, Debashish Mitra Ji, past Central Council member, convener, ACAE Chartered Accountant Study Circle, Sumitra Goha Ji, Devayan Patra Ji, who have asked me that query, and also is the treasurer of EIRC, and various other senior members. At the outset, I thank Debashish Mitra Ji, my senior colleague in the council and a very dear friend, who have been a mentor for me in the council, because the way he presents in the council and speaks about various subjects in brief, he talks about the whole issue, and then he concludes the way summarizing everything. And he was my chairman the last year for CLCGC. This year he is the chairman of the Board of Studies Academics. So I have been working under him, and I have seen his the commitment towards the profession and the way he is contributing to the profession, because at the MCA, a lot of things have to be taken care of. And everyone knows out there that yes, ek Bengali babu aate hain wahan pe. So they talk to Mr. Mitra out there. And so yes, he is quite popular out there. And thanks Mitra sir for being a guide to me in the council. And of course, Goa sir has been, we have been in discussion after being into the council 1.5 years. So yes, we have met few times. He is the member of a few committees in the ICI, and all my dear friends, sabko mera namaste. Yes, these 3 topics which Goa sir has told me, we will be talking about it. And yes, in certain cases, I might be asking certain questions, and you might also be asking certain questions. So first, I'll go with the TDS2 sections 194O and 206C1H, and then I'll go to the tax audit, right? So any questions, when I'll be asking, I'll request you to please answer the questions in the chat box. I'll be looking at that. And whenever you want to ask a question, you please type in the chat box, or if Goa sir or Mitra sir sees that into that, they can ask me the question. because my questions would start from the tax audit and not prior to that too much. Before that, I'll be discussing about these two provisions and very important provisions. So I'll be sharing my screen and then talking to. Is it okay if I talk in English, or Hindi is much better, or a mix of both?
English is fine. You see, English is fine, or you can go for a mix of both also, no problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So yes, I had to just change my presentation to include these two sections. First of all, let us go directly for 194. You know, this section has been introduced with effect from 1st October 2020. And what does this section say? This section says that in case a payment is made by an e-commerce operator to a e-commerce participant, then a TDS at the rate of 1% is required. So who is an e-commerce operator and e-commerce participant? Now I'm getting few questions basically on this, that ये e-commerce operator है कौन? Participant तो समझ में आता है जो उसके through services दे रहा है, but e-commerce operator has been defined under this section itself to say that he is the person who is providing the e-commerce facility to the platform. And now here what it is said that the TDS is at the rate of 1% on the sale of goods or services or both. And irrespective of amount, the only exemption which is given, only exemption that is given is if the e-commerce participant is an individual or HUF and the total sale or service made by him is not exceeding 5 lakhs and he furnish the PAN and Aadhaar. In that case, there would be no TDS. Otherwise, TDS would be there in each case. Now, if that person who is an e-commerce participant is not having a PAN, then the TDS would be at the rate of 5%. Otherwise, normally it is 20%. So in this case, it would be 5%. Exemption is given where the e-commerce operator is receiving any amount due to advertisement or respect to any related services. So that is not covered. Otherwise, all is covered. And of course, because when a person makes a sale through the e-commerce platform, normally they do give lots of discounts to have the mileage of number of customers so that they can have the value creation. So in certain cases, it could be there that his margin is even less than 1%. So in this case, what they have said, okay, 197 benefit is available. You can apply to the income tax authorities for a lower TDS certificate in this case, right? Also, in case, suppose, who is an e-commerce operator in that case? Let us say Swiggy, Zomato, Amazon, Uber, they all are e-commerce operators. And now suppose you are ordering some goods from Amazon and you say cash on delivery and you make the payment to that person. So when the payment is made to that person, though what is said in the section is that even if the customer makes the payment directly to that e-commerce participant, it would be deemed that the payment is made by the e-commerce operator to the participant. So that is given out here. Also, it says that in case where the TDS is deducted under this section 194.0 or not liable to deduction under 194.02, then any other provision of the chapter 17B would not be applicable. Now, let us take this case, and here I would like to have one question to be answered by all the participants. Now, suppose your client is an ABC Private Limited. He is neither e-commerce operator nor e-commerce participant. And he hires a consultant through e-commerce platform. And this consultant, when you are making the payment, you are paying the professional fee of rupees 2 lakhs. So the question is, under which section this ABC Private Limited would deduct the TDS? This is a professional fee of 2 lakhs through e-commerce platform. So under which section the TDS is deductible out here? Please answer in the chat box. Please answer in the chat box. I'm waiting for the answers. Please answer on the chat box. किस सेक्शन में इसमें TDS कटेगा? इंद्रनील चटर्जी कह रहे हैं 194J. Any other view? We've got more than 50 participants, so I can expect 2-3 answers. Ashish Bujji also saying 194J. Okay, if this TDS is not deducted, would there be any disallowance under section 40A IA? If this TDS is not deducted, would there be any disallowance under section 40A IA? %30 of the expense is disallowed if the TDS chapters are not complied with. Yes, please. I'm just waiting for the answers. Would there be any disallowance under section 40 IA if the TDS is not deducted under 194J? I'm still waiting for the answers, please. Yes, Indranil is saying yes. Okay. You know, in this case, there would be no deduction under 194J. Why? Because this section 194O says that in case the TDS is deductible under section 194O, because this service is rendered through an e-commerce platform by the e-commerce participant, that consultant. So this platform will deduct TDS under section 194O. And once it is liable under this section, then the whole of the other chapter is not applicable. There will be no TDS. So no 10%. In this case, only 1%. Please take care. And here the problem would be when we are the auditors or the CPC. Please take care. What document you will have to have for your client who is neither an e-commerce participant nor e-commerce operator. What he has to see that the services has been taken through the e-commerce platform, have the documentation so that there is no deduction. Because ultimately this platform will deduct TDS under section 194O of this person. So we as a chartered accountant should be aware what is the law. Because now these consultants would start saying that मेरा TDS 194J में नहीं कटना और मैं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट जिसको कि टैक्स की नॉलेज है वो कहेगा भाई कटेगा. So we should have an awareness, you know, once this is deductible under section 194O, 194J, or for that matter 194C or any other provision of deductibility will not be there. Only 194O would be there. Please take care of this, right? Recent clarification related to 194O dated 29th September is there. Of course, that 194 is not applicable to, because you know what happens that suppose there is an e-commerce platform and therefrom the payment gateway, it is a separate, say PayPal or something like that. So say payment gateway, because payment is being collected through the payment gateway. So TDS is not deductible by payment gateway under 194O if the same has been deducted by the e-commerce operator under section 194O on the same transaction. तो हम कहेंगे ये कैसे पता लगेगा कि वो deduct करेगा कि नहीं करेगा. So again, this has been provided under this clarification that in this case, the payment gateway may take an undertaking to this effect from the e-commerce operator. So in case my client is in payment gateway, I can tell him, okay, take an undertaking from the e-commerce operator that he will be deducting. So the payment gateway would not be liable to deduct TDS under section 194, right? Further, also there is a case because a lot of people are now taking insurance policies through the e-commerce platforms. So what it was said that they said in the first year, okay, there is a direct connection. So through the platform, but in the later years, it could be that the person is making directly payment and not to that agent or an aggregator. So they have clarified that in years subsequent to the first year, if the insurance agent or the insurance aggregator has no involvement in the transaction between the insurance company and the buyer of the insurance policy, he would not be liable to TDS under Section 194 over the subsequent years. However, on the commission, the insurance company will have to deduct the TDS for those subsequent years. So this clarification has been given by CBT on 29 September. Any questions on 194O, please? Any questions on 194O? Please, अगर कोई हो तो बता दीजिएगा. Right now, 206C1H. Here, what you have to see, एक किसको applicable है? एक तो सारे assessees को applicable नहीं है. ये उस assessee को applicable है जिसका पिछले साल turnover from goods or services is more than 10 crores in the preceding years. उसको TCS collect करना है on the sale consideration of any goods exceeding 50 lakhs in the previous year at the rate of 1%. You know, I am not saying always that 0.075%. ये तो आगे continuous चलेगा ना. ये सिर्फ इस साल ही 25% की रिबेट दे रखी है. तो यस, इस साल ये रेट है, बट एक्चुअली में तो 0.1% है. ऐसा ना हो कि मैं अप्रैल के बाद भी 0.075 की आदत पड़ी है. So that's why I am saying 0.1%. The issue is that yes, it would be on the time of receipt of the sale consideration. बाकी सब केसेस में क्या है? At the time of debit or receipt, whichever is earlier. Here it is only at the time of receipt of sale consideration. Similar is there under 206C1F. It is same there, right? If there is no PAN, then yes, TCS would be 1%, not 0.1%. Normally, 206CC says in this case it would be double. So it is not 0.2% but 1%. So exceptions they have given, yes. अगर मेरा TCS कलेक्ट हो रहा है 206C1 के अंदर, जो मेरा स्क्रैप, टिम्बर, अल्कोहल ये सब है, उसमें अगर कलेक्ट हो रहा है तो यहाँ पर नहीं होगा. या फिर 206C1F मोटर कार, राइट, विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस मोटर कार. अगर इसमें, क्योंकि कार्स तो 50 लाख से ऊपर भी होती है और नीचे भी होती है, तो मोटर कार में अगर कलेक्ट हो गया तो यहाँ पर नहीं होगा. या फिर मेरा ये 206C1G LRS से ओवरसीज टूर पैकेज के अंदर कलेक्ट हो रहा तो उसके अंदर भी डिडक्ट नहीं होगा, कलेक्ट नहीं होगा. या मैं आई एम मेकिंग एन एक्सपोर्ट, सो इन दिस केस ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट ऑल्सो द कंसिडरेशन व्हिच आई एम रिसीविंग, देयर वुड बी नो TCS requirement. Also, in case when I'm making a sale and the buyer is a central government or state government or an embassy or high commission, legation, commission, consulate or a trade representative of foreign state or a local authority or importer, person importing the goods, then also TCS is not required under 206C1H. I am getting a lot of questions that there is a PSU, central government PSU. Whether that is a central government, of course, that is not a central government. TCS is required to be collected in this case, please. It is required to be collected in this case, please. Right? Yes. So what is goods? Not defined. Not defined what is goods. So yes, a lot of questions could be there. But the nearest act is the Goods and Services Tax, GST. From there I can take, if nothing given, then I can take the General Clauses Act. So here I can say that, of course, immovable property is not goods, right? That is not goods. Others need to be seen, right? The issue is the monitoring of collections, because it is at the time of collection and not at the time of sale. So I'm receiving part payment today, part payment later, and sometimes the accountant is not reconciling my bank statement for a few months. या रामलाल का अमाउंट श्यामलाल में चढ़ा दिया. So I have to do it monthly because whatever I have collected in the 1 month, I have to deposit it by the 7th of the next month. So yes, this would be a bigger issue for the clients. If you say it is applicable to everyone, we know that hardly all over the country, there are less than 3.50 lakh persons who are having turnover more than 10 crores. इतने ही है बस, ज्यादा नहीं है, as per the government data. So इन्हीं को ये कलेक्शन देखनी है. Yes, but further क्वेश्चन ये आता है, सेल्स इफेक्टिव आफ्टर 1 अक्टूबर और रिसिप्ट आफ्टर 1 अक्टूबर. Simple example, I take two period. One is September, up to September, and second is post October, October and thereafter. Now suppose there is my debtors which are there from 2017-18, say 1 crore. And out of this 1 crore, I receive 50 lakhs here by September and 50 lakhs in October. Then I have to, even though my sale is for any past year, I have to collect TCS on this 50 lakhs. Or here, suppose up to September, I have collected 70 lakhs and 30 lakhs here. So I have to collect on 30 lakhs. Or suppose up to September, I have collected, say, only 10 lakhs and 90 lakhs here. So I'll have to collect TCS on 40 lakhs in October. Whether it is sale for 17-18 or any year for that matter. So collection after 1st October, and I have to see the amount from which date? Amount from 1st April onwards. 1st April 2020 onwards to determine 50 lakhs. One question which came to me under GST, I'm making sale from one branch to another branch. Is TCS collectible on that? In my view, no. GST में तो सेल है, but क्या मैं इसके कोई सेल कंसिडरेशन रिसीव कर रहा हूँ? मेन क्वेश्चन जो सब लोगों के पास इसमें आ रहा है कि मैं इनवॉइस में चार्ज करूं या कलेक्शन पे करूं. My clear cut view and the intention of the government is at the time of collection, not on the invoice.
Suman, it is not audible. Suman, can you hear me? Devan?
We cannot hear anything.
I know, I know that. 1 minute.
বলো হ্যালো
দেবানকে বলো একটু প্রমোদ জেনকে ফোন করতে, শুনতে পাচ্ছে না বোধহয় কেউ, আমিও শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, দেখো তো একটু
এই
অডিওটা একটু খারাপ হয়ে গেছে, অডিওটা
হ্যাঁ ঠিক করো। আরে বলছি কি ব্যাগ দুটো রইলো বুঝলে তো, কম্পিউটার আর ইয়ে, ওই বেবু যখন যাবে তখন একটু তুলে দিও তুমি, আমি এখন আর নিচ্ছি না, ওই মোবাইলটা ডিসপ্লে হচ্ছে। আমার শরীরের 2000 টাকা। আচ্ছা
দেবানকে বলেছো ফোন করতে?
হ্যাঁ অন্য কলে ব্যস্ত আছিস।
কে কে?
স্পিকার
তোমার নামটা আছে, ছবি আসছে, হ্যাঁ তোমার নাম আছে, ছবি আসছে
না, মানে হ্যাঁ, কিন্তু ওর ওর এটা এগোচ্ছে না অবশ্য, আওয়াজ এসছে।
2013 বছর করে দেখি না, তুই 3-4টে ছবি দেখছিস।
আবার বেরিয়ে ঢুকতে বলো।
হ্যাঁ কিছুই তো শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
দেখছি দাঁড়াও,
যে বছর অন্য কলে ব্যস্ত আছে
না স্পিকার অন্য কলে ব্যস্ত কি করে হবে, তা হবে না। দাঁড়াও দেখছি, না না দেবান কি ফোনটা করেছে সুমন, সেটা জিজ্ঞেস করছি।
ফোনে পাচ্ছি না, ও করছে নিশ্চয়ই ওকে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
দেওয়ান তো মিটিং এ আছে, ও তো বুঝতে পারছে যে কেটে গেছে।
ও তো বুঝতে
আমি
পেরেছি।
দেওয়ানকেও পাচ্ছি না, দেওয়ান কি আছে?
তাহলে দেবাশিসকে বলো একটু করতে।
দেবাশিস।
ভাই কত দিচ্ছ?
বন্ধ রাখছি, হ্যাঁ বন্ধ রাখছি।
वापस अलाउ करें?
हाँ हाँ जरूर, हाँ स्क्रीन शेयरिंग अलाउ करें।
यस सर। हाँ वापस आ रहा हूँ सर, आ गया मैं।
आई एम म्यूटिंग एवरीबॉडी।
हाँ हाँ प्लीज म्यूट कर दो।
प्रमोद जी आप थोड़ा अपना वीडियो स्टार्ट कर दीजिए, तब हम आपको स्पॉटलाइट में डाल देंगे।
मेरा स्क्रीन नजर आ रहा है क्या? हैं? Is my screen coming now?
अभी नहीं आ रहा था, पहले आ रहा था।
अब आ रहा है?
हाँ, yes, perfectly all right.
Right. So yes, if my TDS is deducted, then there would be no requirement of collection of TCS, right? One important point to note out here is that my this rule 31AA says that in my TCS return, I have to fill the details where TCS is not collected due to TDS made, or where the buyer is central government, state government, or the importer, or it is exempt under any notification, right? Further, they have said that in case of TCS made under section 206C, 1F or 1G or 1H, it would not be in the year if I disclose my income, but in the year in which my TCS is collected, right? And similarly, the clarifications have been brought in. Press release 194O and H, that in case the transactions are through IFSC for the securities and commodities, they would not be liable to 194O. Or in case of my CERC, the energy saving certificates for electricity, again there would be no 194O. And again 206C, 1F and 1H, the difference they have made, that say in case if the receipt from the dealer, because 206C 1F what they said कि अगर मैन्युफैक्चरर से डीलर को आ रहा है या डीलर टू डीलर आ रहा है तो 206C 1F कवर्ड नहीं है, बट नाउ दे हैव क्लैरिफाइड 206C 1F उस केस में नहीं होगा, लेकिन मैन्युफैक्चरर टू डीलर और डीलर टू डीलर दैट वुड बी कवर्ड अंडर 206C 1H। तो यहाँ पर मेरा 1% कलेक्ट नहीं होगा, लेकिन यहाँ पर मेरा 0.1% कलेक्ट होगा। सिमिलरली अगर मैं कस्टमर को सेल कर रहा हूँ, कंज्यूमर को, तो कंज्यूमर को ऐसा हो सकता है, जैसे अभी क्वेश्चन में मेरे पास आया कि एक कंपनी ने क्या किया कि 10 लाख से नीचे की गाड़ियां खरीदी और उन्होंने 10 गाड़ियां अपने एम्प्लॉइज के लिए खरीदी, तो कंपनी ने खरीदी तो टोटल मिला के 50 लाख क्रॉस कर गया। सो इन दिस केस द TCS would be under 206C 1H and not 1F. If the vehicle is more than 10 lakhs, then the TCS would be under 206C 1F. So this they have clarified. Further, they have clarified that the TCS under 206C 1H shall not apply to any sale consideration received before 1st October 20, but would apply on sale consideration received including advance on or after 1st October 2020, even if the sale was carried out before 1st October. This was which I gave an example of 1 crore assessment year 17-18. It is same which I gave the example, the same clarification they have given. जब मर्जी की सेल हो, 1 अक्टूबर के बाद आएगा तो TCS कलेक्ट करना है. And again, the threshold of 50 lakhs would be considered from 1st April 2020, not 1st October, which I said, the same clarification is there. And yes, they have reduced this, they have exempted this non-residents airlines who are getting the fuel supplied at the airports. To them, 206C1H would not be applicable. So they have exempted them. Now, please, any question on 206C1H, then we'll go to our TDS. What is tax audit, right? Any question on 206C1H, TCS के ऊपर सर, TDS के ऊपर कोई question हो तो please, you can type or unmute and ask. हुआ सर अगर कोई भी question हो तो. Any question, please? So I suppose there were no questions on 206C1H already, right? Any doubt? You can still ask. You can type your question. Devendu Banerjee, we should issue a debit note only and not on the invoice, because in the invoice we should not. Yes. The Vijay Sarkar also, should we raise debit note? Yes, we should read debit note only, not in the invoice, because in the invoice I just told, I gave you various examples. There could be debit notes, credit, there could be various debit notes, credit notes related to my outstandings, my adjustment of purchase, sale, advance, all those things could be there. So always do it at the time of receipt of the sales. Because when I'm issuing an invoice, then again my initial 50 lakhs is exempt. Na? Man, suppose in the whole year I've made a sale of 1 crore and collected also 1 crore. So TCS is not on 1 crore, but it is on 50 lakhs only. It is exceeding 50 lakhs. So that way it has to be. Any other question, please? Any point which you want to share related to this? Surajit ji, impact of sales return, it is only on collection, na? So sales return hardly matters. Only the amount received upon that. Devendu, yes, you are saying there are companies of my client who are insisting on raising the SEMA invoice. It is legally not correct. It is legally not correct, and few of the bigger companies have started doing it on the advice of some big consultants. But in my view, that is not the correct way. Because, you know, in one of the cases, one of my CA friends, they say that they gave an invoice, say that even on the cash sale, they are charging 1% TCS. या जिसका पैन नहीं है 1% कैश सेल, कैश का बिल काटा, उसके ऊपर 1% of 20,000, 30,000 rupees. This is totally wrong. This is not correct. If opening debtor is more than 50 lakhs, but sales from April is 20 lakhs only, but receipt of October is more than 50 lakhs. Yes, it is applicable. It is only on receipts. My sale could be of any year. My 50 lakhs I have to count from 1st of April 2020 and not after October. I gave an example that suppose my sale in the financial year 18-19 was 70 lakhs and I'm receiving say 60 lakhs by September and 10 lakhs in October. So I have to collect a TCS on 10 lakhs. I have to calculate from 1st of April. They will just issue the debit note at the end of the month and collect it and deposit by the 7th. He cannot, he'll have to collect now. Devashish Sarkarji is saying my feeling is buyer will not pay. It is between the buyer and the seller. And when his TCS is also be collected, so it will become the way of life. उसका भी तो TCS collect हो रहा होगा. हर एक को उसका क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा. आपस में परचेज सेल करेंगे तो क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा, डेबिट मिल जाएगा उनको. Surajit ji, I just said old Sunday debtors applicable. 2-3 बार इसी चीज को बताया एप्लीकेबल है. I gave the example of old debtors only, na. When I'm saying of 16, 17, 17, 18, there are old debtors, na. Sale तब की है तो debtors खड़े हैं मेरे. Any other issue, please? Clear? Great, great. So now let us go to our tax audit. Tax audit, right? So going for the tax audit, if I talk about what is a tax audit, if you see and search the whole of the Income Tax Act, you do Control F search, there is no terminology like tax audit. So what is a tax audit? So what is a tax audit? In fact, if I talk about tax audit, any audit under the Income Tax Act is a tax audit, which includes my 10B, 10BB, 3CAB. But today what we are talking about is my audit under section 44AB, that is form 3CA, CB, CD. Some people say that the audit is under section 44AD, but there is no audit under section 44AD. There is no audit under section 44AD for this audits. This is only under section 44AB. And there are a lot of reviewers of the audit work of chartered accountants, like FRRB, Financial Reporting Review Board of ICI, my Peer Review Board of ICI, PRB, my Quality Review Board by MCA. Then there is NAFRA, right? Then there is a committee by SEBI also, which is looking, and every ED, CFO, bankers, everyone is reviewing the work of the auditors. But there is another board which is created 2 years back, that is Taxation Audit Quality Review Board. Taxation Audit Quality Review Board, and this is reviewing our tax audits. And current chairman is the Central Council member from your region only, Ranjit Kumar Agarwal. So any gross negligence found under the review of this tax audit would be referred to the disciplinary committee. So please take note that yes, for our review work, for our audit work, there are a lot of reviewers. And for the tax audit also, there is a tax audit quality review board. Now, let us just have a revision of my legislation for tax audit for assessment year 2021 and onwards, unless there is no change further. The section I said, only one section, section 44AB, and the rule therein, rule 6G. And the relevant forms, form 3CA, 3CB, and 3CD. And non-compliance, the penalties under section 271B. तो जब भी कभी आपको डाउट हो कि टैक्स ऑडिट होना है या नहीं होना, जैसे कि अभी पात्रा जी ने, दिव्यन पात्रा जी ने बोला, आपको कहीं नहीं देखना, सिर्फ सेक्शन 44AB के 5 क्लॉजेस. Only these 5 clauses, nowhere else. What are these 5 clauses? These 5 clauses are: in case the assessee is having a business income and my turnover of gross receipts or sales exceed ₹1 crore or 5 crore, we'll be talking about this, then my audit would be due to section 44ABA. If my assessee is having a professional income and the gross receipt is exceeding 50 lakhs, then my audit would be due to section 44ABB. In case the assessee is having a business income of the nature of 44AE, BB or BBB. AE is my goods carriage vehicle, 44BB is my non-resident having the business of exploration of mineral oils, and 44BBB is a foreign company having a turnkey power projects. In this case, if my income is less than the deemed profits, then I have to get it audited under section 44ABC. Under, if I'm having a professional income and my gross receipt exceeding 50 lakhs, I'm getting it audited due to section 44ABB. But if it is less than 50 lakhs and my deemed profit is less than 50% and my total income is exceeding the maximum amount not chargeable to tax, then my audit is due to section 44ABD and 44AD4, and my total income is exceeding the maximum amount not chargeable to tax, my audit is due to section 44ABE. These 3 clauses are for my presumptive incomes lower than the deemed profits. And pertinent point to note between C, D, and D is that in the D&D, there are two conditions: less than the deemed and 4484, plus the total income should exceed the maximum amount not chargeable to tax, which for individual HUF is 2.5 lakhs, not 5 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs. For partnership firm, 10 rupees. Right? But in the case of my heavy goods vehicle or goods carriage vehicle, we know that what is the presumptive income. The presumptive income, there is no condition that it should increase it should have a total income exceeding the maximum amount not chargeable to tax. So in case your SSC is having goods carriages less than 10 trucks, and if the gross vehicle weight is less than 12 metric ton, then the deemed income is 7,500 rupees per truck per month. In case the truck is having the gross vehicle weight of more than 12 metric ton, say 50 metric ton is the gross vehicle weight, then it would be 1,000 rupees per metric ton per month per truck on the gross vehicle weight or unladen weight at the case may be. So in this case, if the 50 metric ton is there, then 50,000 rupees per truck per month. And if you want to declare lower than that, no option. You have to get it audited under section 44 ABC. And it is there for all SSCs. It could be even proprietorship, partnership, HUF, company, even a private limited company. Truck का business है, डीम से नीचे दिखा रहे हैं, 10 ट्रक से नीचे है, डीम से कम दिखा रहे हैं, ऑडिट करवाइए, irrespective of your turnover, right? Now this form is of course in Rule 6G, and we have to issue form 3CA, 3CB or 3CD. So my first question goes here for this: in which case I have to issue form 3CA? हम 3CA कब issue करते हैं? When do we issue form 3CA? हम 3CA कब issue करते हैं? Please answer in the chat box. When do we issue form 3CA? Because Chandra ji का कहना है audit under any other act other than income tax. Surajit Sen Gupta ji का भी यही कहना है, audit under any other laws. Great, correct. My second question goes. Second question: suppose there is a private limited company which was incorporated on 1st of February 2020, and its turnover was 6 crores. So it wanted to get its audit done and file the ITR. So they have come to you. They say it is a private limited company, 6 crore turnover, 1 फरवरी 2020 को incorporate हुई. तो आप 3CA issue करेंगे या 3CB? Private limited company 3CA या 3CB? विकास जी का, सुरजीत जी का कहना है 3CA. Any other view? वर्मा जी, आपके पास वो लेके आया है अपने अकाउंट्स. पहले तो हम ये समझ लें कि only a chartered accountant in practice can do a financial audit. No one else in the country. So I don't have to ask the assessee. You have to determine. आपको चेक करना है, ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. Nothing theoretical. This 1 hour what is left is purely I would say practical to clear the concept. No theory please. तो इस प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी का 3CA इशू करेंगे कि 3CB? My two brothers are saying 3CA. Okay, 3CA. Asha, that was for 3CA. Okay, this question's answer is 3CA. Now please let us understand that in this case, under the Companies Act 2013, where a company is incorporated on or after 1st of January, then its financial year as per the Companies Act would end mandatorily on the 31st March next year. वो होना ही 31st March next year है as per the Companies Act. तो ये जो 2 महीने का पीरियड है, मेरे को इनकम टैक्स में तो रिटर्न फाइल करनी है, ऑडिट कराना है, बट कंपनीज एक्ट में ऑडिट नहीं होगा बिकॉज द फाइनेंशियल ईयर इज नॉट एंडेड अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट. So there is no audit under the Companies Act. So here I have to issue 3CB even though it is a private limited company. Because under the Companies Act, the audit would not be for March 20, it would be only for March 21. So yes, in this case, even though it is a private limited company, we will issue Form 3CB for March 20. For March 21, whether it would be 3CA or 3CB? For March 21? 3CA or 3CB? देवाशीष जी का कहना है 3CA. विकास जी का भी कहना है 3CA. Any other view? और किसी का कोई व्यू? बस 2 जनों का ही व्यू है. आशीष बोस जी का भी कहना है 3CA. अच्छा, हम ये समझें what is a tax audit basically? The tax audit purpose and basis is कि जिस पीरियड का मैं रिटर्न भर रहा हूं उस पीरियड का टैक्स ऑडिट हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. The period which I am filing in March 21 is 1st April 20 to March 21. The audit which is done under the Companies Act is for the 1st February 20 to March 21, 14 months. I cannot tell to my assessing officer, to the income tax authorities कि 14 months की balance sheet लो, उसको proportionate कर लो. So for that 12 months there is no audit under any other law. My purpose is to say audit under any other law means audit for that period itself for which I am filing the ITR. So in this case, March 21, there would be 2 balance sheets, 2 audits and 2 audit fees. One 14 months under the Companies Act and one 12 months under the Income Tax Act. So March 21 also 3CB. March 21 also 3CB, please. Right? Getting the concept के purpose क्या है? Because there could be so many other cases. I have given just these 2 examples. There could be so many other cases also. No? Let me take, this was a new company. Let me take another example of say, an old company, say 2010 incorporated. And say during financial year 1920, it was converted into LLP. Say it was converted on 1st of October. 1st of October 2019 it was converted. So for the 6th month, I am going to file the ITR and there is a tax audit. So for this private limited company for 6 months, in case here I would issue Form 3CA or 3CB. Hariji Verma, bilkul, you are right that it happens in the case of subsidiary also of a foreign company where there are 2 accounting years. I fully appreciate. Yes, so my question out here for this company converted into LLP, so the first 6 months, the ITR is to be filed for that private limited company, which is an old company. So you would issue 3CA or 3CB. Yes, please. Sunirmal Chatterjee saying yes, 3CA. Any other view? Ashish Boch is also saying 3CA. सर हम लोग एक बात ये समझें कि अगर एक कंपनी एलएलपी में कन्वर्ट हो गई, सितंबर में 1 अक्टूबर को हुई, मैं ऑडिट कर रहा हूँ जून 20 के अंदर, तो जब मैं ऑडिट कर रहा हूँ तो क्या मेरा आई एम द ऑडिटर ऑफ दैट, आई एम होल्डिंग दैट ऑफिस ऑफ द ऑडिटर ऑफ अ कंपनी व्हिच इज नॉट एग्जिस्टिंग एज ऑन दैट डेट? Is there any board which will approve it? Would there be any shareholders to whom I will report? Would there be any compliance under the Companies Act? No. So there would be no audit under the Companies Act, even though it is a private limited company. After it is converted, it is a private limited company up to this date, but the date on which I am doing that activity, on that date, it is not there would be no audit under the Companies Act. So in that case also 3CB, please. In all that case also 3CB. Now this, when it is converted into LLP, so the LLP 6 months from October to March, it also requires tax audit. So whether it would be 3CA or 3CB, this LLP there would be 3CA or 3CB. So Ajit Sen Gupta ji is saying yes, 3CB. Any other view? Hariji Verma is saying 3CA. Verma ji, why 3CA? It is not a company, so why 3CA? Ashish Bose is saying 3CB. We need to understand the concept. That's why we are asking the questions. Verma ji, why 3CA? वर्मा जी आप अनम्यूट करके भी बोल सकते हैं. Any reason, sir? Sunnival is saying when since the company is not existing 3CB. I'm talking about sir LLP. The 6 months the LLP is there. So in that case, whether it would be the tax audit is required to be filed for that LLP for 6 months. Company separate return would go and LLP separate return. 2 returns would be going. So for that LLP, whether it would be 3CA or 3CB. Is there any audit under the LLP Act? Is there any audit under the LLP Act? Yes, there is. If the turnover of the LLP exceeds 40 lakh rupees, and of course, when there is a tax audit, 40 lakhs would be exceeded only. So yes, there is an audit under the LLP Act. Hence, it is not merely on a company there would be 3CA. There could be an entity by its governing law, the audit is required under that act. So for the LLP, yes, it would be 3CA always when there is a tax audit. It would be 3CA. Right? So my next question out here, when that audit is done under this LLP Act, when that audit is done under the LLP Act, so in that case, what would be the format of that audit report under the LLP Act? What is the format of the audit report under the LLP Act? ऑडिट रिपोर्ट का फॉर्मेट क्या होगा उस LLP एक्ट का? हाँ जी, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जैसे मैंने कहा कि सारे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट प्रैक्टिस सिर्फ वही ऑडिट कर सकते हैं, उनके अलावा कोई कर नहीं सकता और उनको पता ही नहीं क्या करना है। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना। इनकम टैक्स, GST, कंपनी लॉ, RBI, FEMA, इंटरनेशनल टैक्स, कोई भी कर सकता है, बट ऑडिट ओनली चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इन प्रैक्टिस, ओनली ही कैन डू. So at least he should know about that. He cannot say I don't know. I am only allowed, it is my USP, it is my monopoly, but I don't know about it. It cannot be that way, na, please. Any guess? It is all internal. We can discuss openly. There is no issue at all, because our purpose is to clear the concepts only. Any guess? हाँ जी, कोई आइडिया? अच्छा, ये कंपनीज एक्ट के अंदर हम ऑडिट रिपोर्ट देते हैं, उसका फॉर्मेट कहाँ से लेते हैं? उसका फॉर्मेट कहाँ से आता है? कंपनीज एक्ट में भी तो ऑडिट करते हैं, तो उसका फॉर्मेट कहाँ से आता है? Yes, please. Waiting for your answers. आशीष जी ने कहा ना कंपनीज एक्ट 2013.
It should be normal audit report format. As per SA.
सही कह रहे हैं, सही कह रहे हैं. Actually, आशीष जी, there is nothing like a report format in Companies Act. Whenever there is a talk about audit, I have to see only standards on auditing. And Devyanji, it is not SS 701. 701 is only for CAM, that is only for listed entities. It is SS 700, 705, 706. So any format, yes. Patra ji bilkul sahi keh rahe hain. 5 formats are given SS 700. So in that case, out of that, whichever is applicable. So for companies also it is given there, for LLP, for partnership firm, for even, I would say, this study circle, or that matter, any RWA, any mandir, you know, any place audit is required, format is SS 700, right? So yes, we have had certain practical discussions on what do we mean by audited under any other law, and 3CB in any other case, and 3CD is actually an annexure to both of these. 3CD is an annexure to both of these. It is same. And non-compliance of 44AB penalties under section 271B, where the penalty is 0.5% of my turnover, maximum 1.5 lakhs. That is the maximum penalty out here, right? Now, certain questions which Patra ji said to cover related to 44AD and related turnovers. 44AB, we have discussed the 5 clauses under which the audit is to be. We have revised that because everyone knows, every chartered accountant knows about it, and every chartered accountant also knows about 44AD, ADA. There will be certain confusions, that's all. But yes, they are aware of what are the provisions. So let us revise that. Again, revising that through certain question answers so that our concepts are clear. Please understand, our only intention is to clear the concepts. Hence, please answer so that if there is any doubt, let us not hesitate and clear our concepts fully about these sections under in this slide itself, right? Okay. So I'll be asking the questions out here. First question, Mr. A. He has started manufacturing, and in the first year his turnover was, which was all cash, was 1.5 crores, 150 lakhs, and the net profit was 8 lakhs. Total income was 8.5 lakhs. So Mr. A's for manufacturing 1.5 crores, net profit was 8 lakhs, which was less than 8%. So can Mr. A for this manufacturing activity avail the benefit of section 44 AD? Can he avail the benefit of section 44 AD for this manufacturing activity where the profit is less than 8%, 1.5 crores turnover? Yes, please. No. Because you can no.
No.
The reason मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है या कोई और रीजन? मैन्युफैक्चरर को 44 AD एप्लीकेबल है? All cash sales. Okay. So all cash sale, does it restrict 44 AD? In my view, cash sale is never restricts 44 AD.
Not restricted.
It can be 100% cash sale, 100% cash purchase. Under 44 AD, it can be there. No issues at all, please. 44 AD limit is up to 2 crores. It is up to 2 crores. I can have 100% cash sale, 100% cash purchase, no issue at all. I can still avail of 44 AD.
Percentage of profit has to be 8% or
Yes.
more.
Yes.
That is the
yes.
important.
Yes, that is the reason, very right reason, that my percentage of profit should be 8% and above. And a manufacturing sector is all around. Now the second question out here, would there be any audit under section 44 AB in this case? Would there be any audit under section 44 AB in this case?
Under AD.
AB, there is no audit under section AD. All audits are under section 44 AB. I said that in my first slide of tax audit. AD में कोई audit नहीं होता, AB बॉम्बे में ही होता.
Yes, read with 44 AD. 44 AB is the principal section and 44 AD is the applicability section.
So we will always say audit under section 44 AB, not AD or ADA or AE. We'll always say 44 audit. When we talk about audit under section 44 AB. It may be due to those sections, but yes, under AB. So whether there would be audit under section 44 AB in this case? Whether there would be audit under...
Yes, it has to be done.
Yes, it has to be done. Fine. Yes, the answers are correct. 44 AD, no, because my profit is less than 8%. Audit, yes, because my turnover is crossing 1 crore. Fine. Second question, because we are just discussing to get our concepts very clear. So certain quite to the point questions. This lady, Miss B, she's a doctor. So as a doctor, she's getting certain fee, which is say 45 lakhs, less than 50 lakhs, and her net profit therefore from 25 lakhs, which is more than 50%. She's also selling medicines, and for the medicines, she has taken the GST number 2. So for this trading activity of medicines, her total turnover was 90 lakhs and net profit therefore was 10 lakhs, again, which is more than 8%. So this lady doctor having the consultancy fee of doctor as well as selling of medicines. So for this trading activity of medicines where the profit margin is more than 8%, can she avail of section 44 AD for this trading activity? Can she avail of section 44 AD benefit?
Yes, he can. She can.
Yes.
Because
Any other view?
gross, it does not cross 2 crores.
Yes. Any other view? Members can also write in the chat box also. Second question, for that professional receipt of 45 lakhs where profit is more than 50%, can she avail of 44 ADA? Can she avail of 44 ADA for that professional receipt? हाँ जी So Nirmal ji, my question is for that एक एसएससी का एक ही पेन होता है, एक से ज्यादा होता नहीं इंडिविजुअल का. So in that case, for that professional receipt, can she avail of 44 ADA? My question is only this right now. No. अच्छा, इसका ट्रेडिंग से टर्नओवर था 90 lakhs और प्रोफेशन से रिसीप्ट है 45 lakhs. दोनों मिला के 1 crore क्रॉस कर गया, तो क्या इसका टैक्स ऑडिट होगा सेक्शन 44 AB में? क्या इसका टैक्स ऑडिट होगा सेक्शन 44 AB में? आशीष जी का कहना है यस. सुनील चटर्जी का कहना है, चटर्जी सर का कहना है नो. Okay, let us see the answers and their reasons. The answer is 44 AD no, 44 ADA yes, 44 AB no. But why? So that understanding the concept. My section 44 AD says that where a person is receiving any professional income, then that person is ineligible. To him the section 44 AD itself is not applicable. He cannot avail of 44 AD. अगर उसको professional income आती है, professional income आ रही है तो 44 AD itself for the trading activity is not allowed. But ADA yes allowed, because there is no such similar restriction under 44 ADA. And of course AB no. Why? Because अभी हमने 5 clause discuss किए 44 AB के, A, B, C, D, E. किस में फॉल कर रहा है ये? क्या मेरी बिजनेस 1 crore से इनकम, मेरी टर्नओवर इंक्रीज कर रही है? नहीं. क्या मेरा प्रोफेशनल रिसीट 50 लाख से ऊपर क्रॉस कर रही है? नहीं. CDE तो एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं हो रहे, तो कौन से क्लॉज में ऑडिट करेंगे? I hope this is clear. Any doubt, please be free to answer any question, ask any question or any comment, any suggestion. Please be very free. ये concepts को clear करने के मौके कम मिलते हैं. अभी हम we are sitting at our houses and offices, so sitting on our desktop we can surely get this cleared if there is any doubt. Clear? कोई डाउट नहीं? आगे चले. चलिए, next question. Miss C lady, she also started her business, say trading in garments. So her turnover was all in cash, say 80 lakhs. And the net profit therefrom was 4 lakhs, which is again less than 8%. And total income is 3 lakhs. So for this trading activity where her turnover was 80 lakhs and net profit is less than 8%, can this lady see avail of 44 AD benefit? Can she avail of section 44 AD benefit? Yes, please. answer is no, because it is less than 8%. Surajit ji, Ashish ji saying no, right? Second question, क्या इस केस में इसका टैक्स ऑडिट होगा सेक्शन 44AB में? प्रॉफिट 8% से नीचे, क्या इसका ऑडिट होगा 44AB में? विकास जी का कहना है यस, आशीष जी का कहना है नो. Any other view? Currently the answers are 50-50. Any other view, please? Surajit Sen Gupta ji का भी कहना है yes. Yes. Now 2/3 and 1/3. एक आधा और आंसर so that we can have the majority view. Any other view, please? हाँ जी, any other view? सर सब कर ही रहे हैं बहुत सालों से, तो एक्चुअली क्या कर रहे हैं? The answer to this is no. 44AD no, 44AB also no. AD no, of course, because my profit is less than 8%. And AB also no, because it is not falling into any of these sections, any of these provisions. A, B, C, D, E. किसी में fall कर रहा है, किसी में भी fall नहीं कर रहा. अगर किसी को लग रहा है किसी में fall कर रहा है तो बताइए कौन से clause में fall कर रहा है, कौन से clause में fall कर रहा है? किसी में भी fall नहीं कर रहा. विकास जी, सुरजीत जी आप कह रहे थे yes, और काफी लोग जो आंसर नहीं भी कर रहे वो भी सोच रहे होंगे yes. तो which section, which clause of 44AB, A, B, C, D, E? किसी क्लॉज में नहीं. प्लीज अगर डाउट है तो पूछ लीजिए, वरना मैं मान रहा हूं सबको आता है. राइट, क्योंकि ये किसी भी क्लॉज में फॉल नहीं करता. Hence there would be no audit. Fine. Last question in this series. Mr. D, he's into trading, say trading of yarn. तो yarn से उसका जो turnover था 95 lakhs and yarn से उसकी commission थी 6 lakhs and net profit 15 lakhs. Total income 14 lakhs. So the profit from the business was more than 8%. So can Mr. D for this trading income avail the benefit of section 44AD? Can he avail the benefit of section 44AD? %8 से ऊपर का प्रॉफिट है, तो कैन ही अवेल ऑफ सेक्शन 44AD बेनिफिट? आशीष जी का कहना है यस. और कोई व्यू? देवेश सरकार जी का कहना है नो. Why, Devashish ji, why no? दिनेश्वर जी का भी कहना है यस। देवशीष जी, प्रोफेशनल इनकम तो इसमें है ही नहीं। प्रोफेशनल इनकम कहाँ है? ट्रेडिंग की और कमीशन की है। प्रोफेशनल इनकम तो है ही नहीं इसमें। प्रोफेशनल इनकम तो इसमें है ही नहीं। वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस इशू, राइट? अच्छा, क्या इसका टैक्स रेट होगा सेक्शन 44 AB में? क्या इसका टैक्स रेट होगा सेक्शन 44 AB में? हाँ जी, क्या इसका टैक्स रेट होगा सेक्शन 44 AB में? हाँ जी, वेटिंग फॉर द आंसर्स प्लीज। ये सब तो हमारे पास प्रैक्टिकल आते होंगे। क्या करते हैं हम लोग? हाँ जी, क्या इस केस में 44 AB का ऑडिट होगा? इन दिस केस सुनिर्मल चटर्जी का कहना है नो। सर, इसके आंसर दोनों ही डिफरेंट है। 44 AD no and AB yes. AD no because he is having a commission income and you cannot show it as income from other source, because again it says that if the person is having a commission income, then section 44 AD itself is not applicable to him. AB yes because his turnover is now exceeding 1 crore na, 1.01 crore, तो ऑडिट होना ही है। 44 AD कहता है कि अगर मेरे 4 सोर्सेज ऑफ इनकम है, one is my brokerage, second is commission, third is agency business and fourth is profession, अगर ये चारों में से कोई भी सोर्स ऑफ इनकम है तो I cannot avail of 44 AD. 44 AD is banned to the assessee, not to the business, to the assessee. बिजनेस कौन सा अलाउड नहीं है? दैट इज माय ट्रक्स 44 AE वाला, गुड्स कैरेजेस वाला। सो कमीशन का और ब्रोकरेज का हमने एग्जांपल, कमीशन का और प्रोफेशन का हमने एग्जांपल देखा। Please friends, we all need to improve upon this basics things, because if I don't know that whether the audit is required or not required, audit कब करना है कब नहीं करना है, तो फिर तो मेरे audit में बहुत सारी errors हो रही होंगी। Please see, we need to improve. Always it is better, जब करो improve तब better, right? Now the question about this 1 crore and 5 crore 44 ABA, which is applicable from assessment year 2021. Please किसी का कोई डाउट हो तो एनी टाइम दे कैन आस्क, अनम्यूट करके टाइप करके whatever you feel please. And assessment year 2020 means मार्च 20 का जो मैं ऑडिट कर रहा हूँ, उसके लिए ये एप्लीकेबल है कि मेरी 2 लिमिट हो गई है, 1 करोड़ और 5 करोड़। और 5 करोड़ की लिमिट मेरी कब होगी? जब मेरी 2 कंडीशंस होंगी और दोनों मीट आउट होंगी। The 2 conditions are that my aggregate of the amount received, the cash portion is not exceeding 5%, and my payments, the cash portion is not exceeding 5%. Simple example, my turnover is say 4 crores. My receipts का cash portion is say less than 5%. My payments का जो cash portion है say that is more than 5%. then my limit is 1 crore. But if my payments cash portion is also less than 5%, then my limit is 5 crore. So both have to be less than 5% the cash portion. Let us understand it through another example also. Let us say this is the case of a proprietorship. And in this case, the payments have been received by all banking channels. So my cash portion is less than 5%. My receipts, my sales turnover, my gross turnover was 4 crores, out of which 10 lakhs was in cash. The proprietor also introduced certain capital, which was in cash, 15 lakhs. And also this proprietorship concerned took some loan under section, which was in NEFT 10 lakhs. The question is, with these facts of receipts and payments, whether there would be the tax audit under section 44AB or no. Whether these facts, whether 44AB audit would be there this year or no. Dhyaneshwar ji कह रहे हैं no. Any other view? Because I have given you the facts. I have given you the facts. These are my receipts and payments. You have to tell with these facts whether this year the audit would be there of or not of this proprietorship. So no ifs and buts. इन्हीं फैक्ट्स के साथ बताइए, यही फैक्ट्स है. अभिषेक जी को भी कह रहे हैं नो. इस बार हमने इसको ऑडिट करना है, अभी जो कर रहे हैं ना अभी हम, जिसकी अभी आज की डेट में ड्यू डेट 31 अक्टूबर है. The answer to this is yes. I have to see the total receipts. Total receipt is 425 lakhs and cash portion is 25 lakhs. 10 lakhs this and 15 lakhs this. What I have to do, I have to prepare receipt and payment account. Opening cash and bank balance, closing cash and bank balance. ये सारी रिसिप्ट्स, ये सारी पेमेंट्स. 5 इसका देखो जी कैश पोर्शन कितना है, इसका कैश पोर्शन कितना है. एक भी 5% क्रॉस कर गया, जैसे इस केस के अंदर रिसिप्ट क्रॉस कर गया, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि कैपिटल यहाँ पे नहीं आएगी, आएगी ना. 5% क्रॉस कर गया तो मेरी लिमिट 1 करोड़ हो गई. 1 करोड़ हो गई तो ऑडिट होएगा. गेटिंग? प्लीज एनी डाउट? ये सबको वाई टू इंक्लूड 15 बिकॉज रिसिप्ट पेमेंट में तो आप रिसिप्ट ऑफ कैपिटल नहीं दिखाएंगे. जब रिसिप्ट पेमेंट अकाउंट बनाएंगे तो उसमें रिसिप्ट्स के अंदर रिसिप्ट फ्रॉम कैपिटल फ्रॉम प्रोप्राइटर नहीं ऐड करेंगे क्या? और वो कैश में है. सो टोटल रिसिप्ट्स तो मेरी कैश के 25 लाख हो गई ना. ऐसे ही पेमेंट्स भी आएंगी अगर ड्राइंग्स है तो. आई हैव टू प्रिपेयर रिसिप्ट पेमेंट अकाउंट. कोई डाउट? Any doubt you can ask 10 times, no issues at all. We have to be very clear. We have to do audit this year now. Okay, let me ask another question. मान लीजिए एक प्रोप्राइटरशिप है या पार्टनरशिप है, उसकी टर्नओवर इज 4 करोड़, उसकी रिसिप्ट्स का कैश पोर्शन इज लेस देन 5%, उसकी पेमेंट्स का भी कैश पोर्शन इज लेस देन 5%. अब इसकी लिमिट तो होती है 5 करोड़, बट क्या मैं इसको ऑडिट कर दूं? वेदर दिस 5 करोड़ लिमिट इज मैंडेटरी और ऑप्शनल? कर देता हूं ऑडिट. इज इट ऑप्शनल? कर सकता हूं कि नहीं कर सकता? इट इज टोटल रिसीट फ्रॉम ऑल सोर्सेज. यस, बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाई इट इज टू बी इंक्लूडेड. तो क्या इस फैक्ट के ऊपर मेरा ये 5 करोड़ लिमिट मैंडेटरी है कि ऑप्शनल? नहीं बनता तब भी कर सकता हूँ, एक्स्ट्रा कंप्लायंस तो है। कैन आई डू मैंडेटरी और ऑप्शनल? ये सबके पास इस वक्त क्वेश्चन आ रहे होंगे या आ चुके होंगे? प्लीज बी फ्री टू आंसर। ऑप्शनल, सूरजीत जी, विकास जी का भी कहना ऑप्शनल। और किसी का व्यू? अभी टू ब्रदर्स का इन्हीं का ही आंसर है ऑप्शनल। और किसी का व्यू टू सपोर्ट देम और हैव अ डिफरेंट व्यू? आशीष जी का कहना है मैंडेटरी। So yes, we have got two different views, which is good. Having different views is always good, so that at least we can discuss with the reasons and arrive at a conclusion. In this case, of course, it is mandatory, not optional. Why? किसी लॉ में ऐसा कभी नहीं होता आपकी मर्जी हो तो ऑडिट करा लो, आपकी मर्जी हो ऑडिट मत कराओ। Here it says 1 crore turnover, or if these two conditions are satisfied, my limit is 5 crore. If in this case I do the audit would not be under section 44A, ABA, please. My due date remains 31st July. इस साल के एक्सटेंशन को भूल जाएं कंसेप्ट समझने के लिए। My due date remains 31st July. It will not extend to, just by doing audit, it will not go to 31st October or 30th September, whatever it is. It remains 31st July. जो मेरे को 43B की पेमेंट देखनी है 31st July. जो मेरे को 54F की इन्वेस्टमेंट देखनी है 31st July. And if I do that audit, then please don't mention say on the sweet will of the proprietor I am doing it. अपलोड नहीं कर सकते, अपलोड करेंगे तो कोई क्लॉज नहीं आएगा, अपलोड करेंगे तो एक क्लॉज नहीं आएगा कोई, right? I am leaving this question here because we have very less time. Just I'll take 2-3 points because we have got very few minutes. एक बार presumptive incomes की overall audit की provisions देख लें, where my profits are less than the deemed profits. अगर 44AD में business है तो मैंने कभी अगर 44AD avail किया और उसके बाद अगर 5 सालों के अंदर अवेल नहीं किया तो अगले 5 साल तक ऑडिट कराना, which is given under section 44AD4, 5 and ABE. प्रोफेशन के केस में अगर मेरा लेस देन डीम्ड प्रॉफिट्स है तो ऑडिट होना ही होना है, 5 साल वाली कोई कंडीशन नहीं है। प्रोविजन है 44AD4 में ऑडिट ABD के अंदर। गुड्स कैरीज वाला व्हीकल है, लेस देन डीम्ड प्रॉफिट्स ऑडिट होना ही होना है 44AE7 ABC के अंदर। शिपिंग ऑफ नॉन रेजिडेंट नॉट अलाउड, डीम्ड दिखाना ही दिखाना है, 10% का प्रॉफिट दिखाना ही दिखाना है। एंड सो इज देयर फॉर ऑपरेशन बाय नॉन रेजिडेंट एयरक्राफ्ट, 10% का प्रॉफिट है उससे ज्यादा दिखाना ही दिखाना है। नो ऑडिट अलाउड ही नहीं है डीम से नीचे दिखाना। क्या एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ मिनरल्स बाय नॉन रेजिडेंट एंड टर्नकी पावर प्रोजेक्ट बाय फॉरेन कंपनी, हियर लेस देन डीम्ड ऑडिट relevant provision, this 3, this 2, here see, if you see these sections, it is from CDE. Only A, which is for business, and B is for profession. Here the limit is 1 crore, 5 crore. Here it is 50 lakhs. All other are presumptive, deeming less with the conditions which we have discussed. So let us understand this whole concept again for the purpose of business only. My limits for the audit. One is less than 1 crore. Second is between 1 to 2 crore. Third is 1 to 5 crore, and fourth is 5 crore. So if my assessee is having a total turnover above 5 crores, then my tax audit तो होना ही होना है, भूल जाओ बाकी सब कुछ नहीं और देखना मेरे। But अगर मेरा assessee इंडिविजुअल है, HUF है या पार्टनरशिप फर्म है और इसने 44AD का बेनिफिट लिया, then my receipts payment can be 100% cash. Sale, purchase, 100% cash, no books, no audit. If he is availing of 44AD and my turnover is below 2 crore, then I can avail. If I'm declaring 8% and more, 6% or more, whatever it may be. But if I'm not availing of 44AD, then and my turnover is between 1 to 5 crore, then it is individual, HUF, partnership firm, company, LLP, whatever it may be, I have to see my receipts and payments because I am not availing of 44AD. Both less than 5%, limit is 5 crore. Even one is more than 5%, then my limit is 1 crore. So simple they have made. Below 1 crore, audit under only one case where it is my individual HUF or partnership firm and they have earlier availed of section 44AD. Then comes my 4484. For example, in 2018-19, I availed of 44AD because my net profit was 10%. In 1920, my profits dropped and it was say 3%. So he said, okay, I don't want to declare 44AD. I don't want to go for 8%. I'll not go for the, I'll go for the audit under 44ABE. 2021, he says my profit has again risen. It is now 12%. Can he go for 44AD? No. 5 साल तक E में ही जाना पड़ेगा. This is 44ABE read with 44AD4, which the change is there from assessment year 2017-18.
Sir, 44 below 1 crore, 44ABB can happen for professionalism.
44ABB is for profession.
Because they have written audit for business, not profession.
हाँ सर, बी तो प्रोफेशन का है ना सर, इसलिए मैं बिजनेस की बात कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, इसीलिए आप इंक्लूड नहीं किया सर.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, सिर्फ बिजनेस की इसीलिए बात की मैंने. Right? Please, any doubt up to this point? Any doubt and to this point? Any question on 44AD, ADA, audit, कब होना है, कब नहीं होना, format, please. Any questions? Should I go ahead? Right? Chali. Now, मैं आपको just to give you further strengthening, because what I said, capital would be included. If you see the change in the ITRs 3, 5, and 6 related to audit information, they are asking whether the assessor is declaring income only under this presumptive incomes. Of course, it would be no when I'm doing the audit. Then they are asking my total sales turnover gross revenue exceeding 1 crore but not exceeding 5 crore. 1 से 5 crore के बीच में है. I'll say yes, क्योंकि ज़्यादा या कम होगा तो applicable ही नहीं है ना ये issue में. ज़्यादा है तब भी होना है और कम है तब भी नहीं होना. It is all about 44ABA. Then this is, if it is between 1 to 5 crore, whether the aggregate of all amount received, including sales, turnover, gross revenue, capital contribution, loan, etc., capital account, 5% exceed कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा. Similarly, payments, expenditure, capital account, capital acquisition, repayment of loan, 5% से ऊपर cash है कि नहीं है. Right? So I have to include my capital accounts transactions also. Some points related to UDIN. When I am issuing Form 3C, I have to generate 2 UDIN. One is for my audit of the financial statements on my independent auditor's report, and second is Form 3CA. When I'm issuing 3CB, then I have to choose one only and choose the correct clause in clause 8 of Form 3CD. And same you have to choose in UDIN as well as income tax file type. They are being synchronized. They are being synchronized now. And very soon we will see that if I choose here something and here something, my form will not be uploaded. They are going to amend it very soon. So I have to be very careful. और एक ये हमेशा ये बात होती है कि जब हम मान लीजिए 31 अक्टूबर में बैठे हैं और रात के 12 बजे तक टैक्स ऑडिट रिपोर्ट अपलोड कर रहे हैं और एसएससी को कहते हैं जी इसको अप्रूव कर दो. एसएससी तो वही है ना, तो वो कहता है कि भाई आज तो मैं बाहर हूँ, घूमने गया हूँ, या मेरे घर में शादी है या कोई इशू है, मैं कल कर दूंगा, परसों कर दूंगा. They have clarified that the date of tax audit report would be the date on which the taxpayer is accepting that audit report. So please take care. Tell them कि अगर मैं 31 अक्टूबर को रात को 12 बजे तक जग रहा हूँ तो आप भी जगो, आप उसी दिन अप्रूव करो. अगर आप 2 नवंबर को कर रहे हो तो मेरी जिम्मेवारी नहीं है. You reply. Of course, we'll be helping them later, but then yes, I have to be very careful. Right? Also, I have to upload the UDIN within 15 days. Again, this is going to start in a day or two anytime. Because if I don't upload the UDIN within 15 days, my form itself would become invalid. My form itself would become invalid. So please, please, please take care. So please take care out here. Please, अगर किसी का कोई भी अभी कोई क्वेश्चन है तो क्योंकि हमारे पास टाइम कम है तो we can discuss. अगर किसी का कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन है तो पहले डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. Menka ji, I'll be sharing this presentation surely with everyone. किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो we can take, because we have got very less time, hardly 5 minutes. So it is better that we take any question which is there. Because I've got another meeting at 7 o'clock. That's why I'm saying. किसी का कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन?
नहीं, मैंने आपको लीगल किया है, इंफॉर्मेशन दे दी है ना. देखिए, आपको नॉलेज में रहना जरूरी है ना, समझे ना. मैं तो करूंगा ये काम, लेकिन नॉलेज में रहना बहुत जरूरी है. अचानक से क्वेरी कुछ पूछे तो आपको बस पता रहना चाहिए चीजों को, सब कुछ. इसको लेकर सब बिजी है ना.
एक आपको और पॉइंट बता दूं तो मैं क्लोज करूंगा.
20%. हाँ, हाई कोर्ट का ऑर्डर देखा मैंने तो 20% बोला है कि आप करके पेमेंट कराओ. 20% बोला है कि रिजेक्ट करो, उसके बाद पेमेंट करो. हाँ, ये देखा मैंने तो.
एक इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट मैं आपको बताऊं. हम all we think that is audit is that 44 clauses, 44 AB. But amongst this, one of the clauses is clause 8. And when I talk about clause 8, they say under which clause you are issuing the audit report. Under my audit report, I am issuing form 3CB or 3CA. And when I'm choosing 3CB, then I have to choose any of these 5 clauses, A, B, C, D, E. But when I'm choosing 3CA, my audit may be due to these 5 clauses, but I have to always choose this third provision. I have to always choose this third provision. Right? The reason is my section this says that if an assessee is covered under any of these 5 clauses, then what it has to do? It has to get its accounts audited and issue a report. First provision says 44 AD when it is not required. Then second provision 44B BBB when not required. Third provision says if this audit of accounts is done under any other law, then the compliance of this section would be there if only this report is issued. Hence, the crux of this section is to get the account audited. And for this, I need to understand the AS and the SAS. Lot of my professionals friends, other professional friends like cost accountant, company secretaries or advocates, they say, ये 44 clauses तो हम भी भर लेते हैं, income tax हमारे को भी आता है. But when it is basically accounts को audit, जो कि सिर्फ एक chartered accountant ही जानता है, because उसी को ही पढ़ाया जाता है accounting standards and standards on auditing. Hence my request to all my friends that please improve our audit quality reporting as per the SAS and the AS. अभी हमारी लिमिट ऑलरेडी 1 करोड़ से 5 करोड़ हो गई है. इनका इंटेंशन था कि ये पूरा टैक्स ऑडिट हटा दें. वो कहते हैं हमारे को टैक्स ऑडिट से बेनिफिट क्या हो रहा है, सब कुछ नील एने करके तो आ रहा है. प्लीज स्टार्ट इंप्रूविंग द आवर ऑडिट रिपोर्टिंग क्वालिटी so that it remains right. Just to share you that of course this is a portal, one of the portals. This is expertspanel.in, wherein you can sign up and wherein you can sign up. And after receiving the link, when you approve that, click on that link, then you can ask any question on any subject, income tax, GST, complaint, or existing questions you can search. And the answers would be coming to your email ID. Also, it will be remaining here subject category wise. You can see there are a lot of articles, presentations, videos, and notifications subject wise. You can see. Click here, you'll get subject wise. Nearly 22,000 answers have already been answered by more than 110 experts in the last 1.5 years. So anyone can use this, or also the mobile app. And this presentation I'll be uploading on this website, Lunavat.com. Anyone can download from here, or even this free mobile app, Lunavat, where all the updates since 2007 is there, along with ready to use charts. So you can see it from the mobile app or the website, anywhere. Thank you for a very, very interactive session. You have been asking questions. I have been replying, or ask myself also asking questions. So please, any questions you can talk.
Pramodji, thank you very much. Pramodji, Devashish Mitra here. Thank you very much for an excellent presentation.
Thank you,
I think the way you presented it, it has made things clearer to so many of us. And your stress on auditing standards at the end is very well taken, because quality of audit at the end of the day is going to be very, very important.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So Sumantra, can
Yes.
you final vote of thanks from your side?
Yes. I would like to profusely thank Pramodji for a wonderful the manner in which he presented, in fact, and made it very, very interactive. So no one could no one's attention got diverted from the discussions that were taking place. And as I reiterate what you said, that at the end of the day, what is most important is the improvement in the quality of tax audit. That is what is most important. That is the takeaway from this program, actually. Because as rightly said, that अगर opportunity हमारे पास आता है, तो opportunity का full फायदा लेना चाहिए. अगर हम लोग उसको लेके casual हो गए, तो हो सकता है कि सरकार ने वो opportunity हमसे ले ली. ये हो सकता है. तो what we should always understand that once an opportunity has been given, and has been given for a long time, since 1984-85, for the last 36 years. And no other profession could. They tried a lot, but no one could take away tax audit or be a part of tax audit along with us. So if we have to retain it, we have to be very, very serious, and our quality has to be of the highest order. So thank you, Pramodji, for sharing your views with us. And as he has promised already, he'll be sharing the PPT, and he has given the website address also where he will be seeing. So once again, a very big thank you to all of you from our side, and we hope that we will be able to meet once again through this study circle in future also, where we can bring you as a speaker in future also. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Goa sir. Thank you, Mitra ji. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Pramodji.
Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका. Thank you.
Thank you.